1996 was a memorable year for so many reasons. 20 years ago, President Bill Clinton was elected to his second term in office.
We will enter a new century of great challenge and unlimited possibility.
The Chicago Bulls became the first team to ever win 70 regular season games.
There it is. 70 has become a reality for the Chicago Bulls.
And were the NBA Finals champions, winning their fourth title in 6 seasons. In November of that year, the first DVD players and discs were made available in Japan. Braveheart won an Oscar for Best Picture at the 1996 Academy Awards. In April of that year, God released Doctors Herbert and Marcia Bailey to begin the work of Right Direction Christian Center. And 20 years later, they would be carrying out an international mandate. A lot has transpired since 1996. The growth of the ministry has been exponential. The lives that have been impacted are too many to number. Throughout the night, you'll hear from some of those whose lives have been forever changed within these 20 years. The journey over these years has been one of faith. However, the Bailey family hasn't been alone. There are some members who have been with them every step of the way.
It was me, myself, Toya, of course, and then it was the pastors, their kids, another couple that actually started up with the ministry. But prior to coming to the church, I know Pastor and Pastor Marshall from Jersey. Bishop Billy was our pastor there. So, totally different situation. Just when I was moving down, I was moving down to go to school. Just heard, just through a phone call, Pastor Marshall called me because they had to move down here. We didn't live too far from one another and just started talking and conversating and visiting one another and just kind of went from there.
I can remember from the very first day that we came to Right Direction. The services were so anointed, they were so excited. Even at that particular time when it was just, 15 of us, maybe 15, 20 people. But the services were so excited. I mean, pastors was much younger then, were pumped up. I mean, the services were so good to, we said, well, we got to come back.
I remember the time where our community, our core, our committed, our everything totaled about 7 people. You could really throw 2 hands full of rocks in our service and not hit nobody.
I just remember children's church. I remember children's church, and Pastor Marshall used to do children's church, and it was the best, man. I remember candy. I remember fun. I remember somebody taking the time with me.
Just children's church was always fun. We always, had games, and I remember Pastor Marshall used to teach children's church. I'm just, you know what's going on at a young age, but you don't really comprehend. Like, you comprehend everything, but you're not really, shall I say, focused on your surroundings as much. But I saw the difference from, us moving from building to building, and the children's church experience, how it kept changing, and we kept having more children coming, and it was, you learned so much just about God and your teachings, and that my children's church experience was great. I loved it.
See, a lot of people now, they hear about where we came from, the pastors came from, and we see what God has done in their lives. We have seen the manifestation of God taking our pastors from one degree to the next degree.
When I think back at some of the different places that we were at the Postal Workers Union Hall, the things that, the challenges that we had there, because we were renting that space, and I mean, sometimes we go in we were planning to have church that Sunday, and that Saturday night they had a party in there. Mm-hmm. So we had to wait sometime to, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning
to clean the building.
Those people would still be there, and we'd go by, we're ready to clean up. and they still partying.
My experience is seeing it get done, and pastor just keep on believing, keep on trusting God. You know, I mean, he just never stopped. I mean, he doesn't let nothing. He keep that positive light regard up front.
As I was honestly asked by family, why would you join a church that's so new to the city? The people are new here. But once I saw how principled and how passionate pastors were, I knew that, oh, this is real. This is real here.
When I think about the River Drive location, the work that we did in that place, you know, when Pastor and I, we went in there and we wanted to, I think it was just solid walls, so Pastor wanted to put up sheetrock. And he and I, neither one of us knew what we were doing. You know, I've never put up any sheetrock. He'd never put up any sheetrock. I mean, we tore up hammers, we tore up nails. Fingers. I mean, just looking back.
We were starting from scratch. Pastor was doing kind of most of the work, and then I came alongside to help him a little bit do most of the work. I think most of his kinks where employees are worked out with me. Pastor recently said he never cursed an employee out, but if he would have, it'd have been me.
We've always been a diverse church. That's been our motto. That's been our vision. But now you're starting to see those seeds planted by pastors of diversity, and not just diversity as far as skin color or ethnicity, but diversity as far as you know, styles and how we do things, and the different types of people that come to the altar, and the different type of ministries we have. When
I look back at the things that he said we were going to do, the buildings that he said we were going to build, it's just awesome. And even looking at the crowd, the people that have come through the ministry, the lives that have been changed, it's just awesome. You know, we love it. Sometimes it's not so much of what I go up and tell Pastor. Sometimes it's just sitting and listening to him in a service that I pull so much away, and I can take so much away that Pastor Marsha or Pastor Herb has said. I can take so much of that away and apply it to my life. And sometimes that means more to me than just calling a meeting and saying, I need to talk to y'all about something. But just listening to what they have to say, I can apply it to our lives.
Not having that consistent father in my life, and then my mom passing away, there were certain people in my life who really just guided me through life. Thank God for my pastor guiding me through buying my first home at a young age, that still shocks me sometimes. But yeah, thank God for the men in this church. In this church, showed me how to change the oil in the car and change tires, and all those things came from men in this church. So it was the spiritual things and it was the natural things.
The reason why I got caller ID, you know, we had those boxes back then, was to avoid Pastor Marsha's calls. I think because Pastor Marsha, she makes you face some stuff that you don't want to face, and so I was like, I don't want to hear that. So yeah, I was trying to avoid. But they have really evolved. I mean, to me, it's almost like, I mean, you can see it in the teaching, in their principles, in their instructions, the wisdom. It's phenomenal.
Last year in June, I got a bad doctor's report. And had I not been under Drs. Herbert and Marsha Bailey, I don't think I could have handled the report that I received from the doctor. But because of Drs. Herbert and Marsha Bailey, I can go on, I can live by faith, I walk by faith and not by sight. And this too shall pass, because it's temporary compared to eternity. So they teach us this is what we're trained for, spiritual warfare. So when the warfare comes, I already have the victory. All I have to do is walk it out.
Thank God for men in our church like Elder Perry. Thank God for men in our church like Minister CJ and Pastor White, and of course our pastor. Thank God for them being in my life to take me under their wing and give me man nuggets and give me things to grow me up and mature my character. My character has changed a lot. Those men that I just mentioned, they do what they say.
I remember when my dad passed away when I was 14, and I've always remembered this when pastor was preaching the word, actually right after he died, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, and he prayed for everybody who didn't have a dad. My dad died, I was 14. Hello. I got the love he gave me, that hug, we hugged for a good 10 minutes. It was so much. And being young and not really knowing well, I did know my dad, I'm sorry, but you know, him not really being involved because he was sick, you just felt that love transpire from him to me. And if that doesn't show his genuine love and character, I don't know what will.
I almost don't want him to apologize for anything he has now, or anything God blesses him with now, because I remember the Suburban, I remember the Lincoln that he calls a town car that you only ride through town. I remember the minivan with the side plate kind of messing up and getting bent and coming apart and all those different things. I remember those things. I am living proof that those stories he's saying on the pulpit is not. It's a real story, because he used to drive a minivan, and he used to drive cars before that. But I specifically remember the minivan, and everybody used to, all the kids used to get in the minivan, including me, and I remember him giving me a ride home one day, and I asked him about a computer. I was like, man, I want a computer. I never had a computer. I want a computer. And I remember him saying something to the effect of use your faith and God can get you that computer. And so he had faith then.
There's no change in pastor behavior. He had been the same. No, whether it was funny, whether it was thoughtful with people, caring about people, I will say that he has remained the same from little to much.
When we started coming, we saw the love of God that pastors had, Pastor Herb, Pastor Marsha, for the people that were there. And now, even over the years, which, over the 20 years, I still see that in them. They have a genuine love for people, and that haven't gone away, with all that they have to deal with. They still have that in them. They have a genuine love for people, and that says a lot about them.
Without this church and without pastors, I wouldn't have any vision for my life. Like, I wouldn't want anything great. And that's the biggest thing that I've learned over the years from him is I want to be better. I want to be great. I want to be successful, but not just successful and great in just whatever, but successful and great in God's true purpose for me.
The love Pastor had for people, to see people grow spiritually. They want all of us, all members, or anyone who listens to the Word of God, to grow up and stop being baby Christians all of our lives, but grow to a level of faith that we really can say none of these things move me. Because why? Because we trust God. And they teach us how to trust God.
I do want to say to our pastors how proud I am of them. If I can get this out without crying, I am so proud of them. I'm so happy to be a part here. I love this ministry. I love my pastors. I love my sisters and brothers here, and I'm happy to be a part.